Good stuff. So my story starts in Lisbotten, at the head of the Lysfjord here in Norway. It could have started in Harwich, but this was a nicer slide, so I thought I'd go for this one first up. For those of you who are not familiar with base jumping, you're about to see this, which is people doing some base jumping. So this is my passion. This is the sport one of the sports that I really love doing. You can see these guys here gracefully going one after the other. The guy at the back, you can see a toggle on his parachute there. That's the bit that you need to pull before you hit the ground, probably the most important thing. This is how not to do it. This was a group of 4 Brits that I met whilst I was in Norway, jumping like lemmings as they were off the cliff here. This guy, third from the left, I have absolutely no idea what he was doing. He held that pose until about 200 feet off the ground before he pulled on his back. Probably the most scary thing I've ever seen in my life. Base jumpers absolutely love videoing each other. They spend most of their time videoing each other or watching videos of themselves. Do you want to hear a joke? How many base jumpers does it take to change a light bulb? 2. One to change the light bulb, the other to film him doing it. This is not me, but this is my main passion at the moment within base, which is wingsuit base jumping. Have you guys seen any of the footage on YouTube of the guys skimming past the roads? You seen that? Yeah, that's not me. But one day, hopefully that will be me. This is me. So this is the moment that is kind of tinged with sadness, but also the most glorious moment in the world, when you actually get your feet on solid ground. You know that you've survived, but you've also got 40 minutes packing your parachute very diligently, and the 3-hour hike back up the fjords before you can jump off again. This is Norman, my van, which took me from the UK up to northern Norway and then down to Switzerland. It's a bit big and a bit naff, but when you're 6'5" and you've got 6 surfboards and 3 base jumping rigs, you need a little bit of space. So this guy did me well. After my brief stop off in southern Norway, it was time to head up to the Arctic Circle. So I stuck this into Bodø, which is the ferry port, into my TomTom, and it came up with 27 hours and 1,500 kilometers. Interestingly, when I put it on the thing and got going, the first thing it said was, turn around where possible. So it obviously wasn't up for it. But any surfers out there? Yeah, you know what it's like when you go to the beach and it's rubbish? Well, after a 2-day trip to get to the beach, you can imagine that I was quite concerned about what I was going to find. Thankfully, this is what I found. Amazing setup there in the Lofoten Islands. Very, very cold water, about between 4 and 6 degrees, so it's a 6 mil wetsuit, boots, gloves, and hood for pretty much the whole time. But incredible waves and absolutely no one out surfing, which, as you probably imagine, would be the case. Having travelled all over the world surfing, that was one of the big things for me about going to the Arctic, to surf where no one was surfing. The other big draw for me was surfing in the midnight sun. So this photo here was taken at 2 o'clock in the morning. It never actually goes completely light. It's completely dark, rather, in the summertime up there, which means that you can pretty much surf whenever you want to. I didn't do much base jumping whilst I was there, but I did find this spot, which I called Escher's Steps, after the Dutch artist. You can probably guess why. No one had ever jumped this spot before, as far as I know, so it was quite a scary place, particularly as it was on a slope and I didn't quite know what was going on, so I had to just leap, and it was fine. So from there, a long trip for 2,000 kilometers in total, back down into Switzerland and into the village of Lauterbrunnen here, which sits underneath the Eiger, one of the most dramatically beautiful places I think I've ever been in my life. I'd really recommend that anyone of you who haven't been there and love the natural world, get over there. So within a week of sort of getting back in there, doing some big wall stuff, I felt I was ready to take on the Eiger. So we got some good weather, and this was the first view that we had taking the train up to Kleine Scheidegg. Our route was up the west face there and to a spot called the Mushroom, which is this beast here, this amazing sort of finger of rock that comes off about 3/4 of the way up the Eiger's west face. It's first jumped about 20 years ago, and this is the first photograph that I know of people jumping it. Absolutely amazing place, and up there in sort of top 3 for base jumpers around the world. If there's a picture out there of any less equipped mountaineers in the world. I've yet to see it. That's about as bad as it gets. But you have to go. There is some rationale behind what we look like there. You have to be very lightweight, and you have to get up there quite quickly, because the weather conditions change quite quickly, and by midday, pretty much every day, there's no chance of jumping because the clouds have come up the north face. This is about halfway up. You get some idea. I mean, the west face is certainly nowhere near as treacherous as the north face, of course, but yeah, the west face is still dangerous as well. This is getting onto the mushroom here. It used to be that there was no rope there, so you had to jump across, which was an 8-foot gap. Thankfully now, they have some ropes in place, but the ropes are all extremely frayed, and it's a pretty scary experience just getting over there. There's me looking very, very smug, as my friend does the same. So this was a moment of, realizing a dream, I suppose, for me. This is me exiting the mushroom for the first time, and really, really special thing. You can see in the top right there's a little bandage on my finger there. I actually severed a tendon in my finger just before I started this trip, so that was not great, but carried on regardless. This is my mate Caro at the bottom, looking up at the north face of the Eiger with the mushroom up and to the left of his head. I think his face says it all there. We were all just absolutely thrilled to get safely onto the ground. And from there, it was straight back for tea and medals.